Namaste, 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 cosmic beings. I'm so happy to be with you on this beautiful day. It's been a little while since I've connected through a live transmission, so I'm really excited to be with you. Hi, Louise. So I'm always streaming on two platforms. So some of you are joining on Instagram and some of you are joining on Facebook through our Facebook group. So just leave me a message, a comment, let me know that you're here. And feel free to ask any questions as well at any time. So I love to flow in these lives and get a discussion going too. Today, I'm going to be sharing my fundamental tools for this dimensional shift that we are right slap bang in the middle of. So these are really exciting, very auspicious times. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that and talk a little bit about the push and pull of this time and what the dimensional shift actually is. And then I'm going to flow into my fundamental tools to support this process. I'm really excited to be with you today. So I'm just going to add on the comments here on Instagram so that people know when they join what they're joining, what we're talking about. Fundamental tools or dimensional shifts. Okay, and then we're going to get going. Perfect. Great. So those of you on Facebook, those of you on Instagram, please leave a comment. Let me know how this resonates with you. Okay, so we are right in the middle of a very important and a very auspicious time here on planet Earth. Everything is coming together. All the conditions are being cultivated to support this very time and the dimensional shift that we are experiencing. So I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit and give a little bit of context in terms of our solar system, in terms celestially, what's happening. So we are in a flow of time that is completely dependent on where our solar system is within the galaxy, and when the Milky Way is our galaxy, and where our galaxy itself is in terms of the space that it's in within the universe, the wider universe. So space is out there and is very vast, and there are different dimensional spaces. There are different energies and there are different experiences of those energies in and around the universe. And as our solar system, which is orbiting in our galaxy, and as our galaxy orbits the central sun of the universe, we move into different spaces where the energy, the experience of energy is different. And what that happens is it changes and shifts the experience that we have right here on planet Earth. So our galaxy experiences shifts and changes in its energy. And then that impacts our own solar system and the energy that we experience and that we feel here. Now, often these shifts in the energy are not profoundly felt. They're often very subtle, but there are times where they are absolutely indeed very profoundly felt. And I feel that we are certainly in one of those phases right now. It really feels over the last few years that the celestial, the cosmic changes, the shifts that we've been going through have been felt. So a lot of the stuff that we are experiencing on a physical level, on an emotional level, on an energetic level, it's not just like us and our mind is kind of, we're going a bit nuts. We are literally feeling what is shifting and what is occurring. Hi, Kevin. Hi, super motivational monk. Really great to be with you. Thanks for joining. So the celestial energies influence us where we are. And in our solar system, we have the planets, and our planets, they are very much absorbing. They're like buffering and absorbing the energies coming in from the wider universe, and they're beaming those down on us. And they have their particular frequencies and the particular way that they send those energies down onto us. So all of this is like a big melting pot of the energy that we are experiencing. And because of that energy, literally our physical bodies, our emotional bodies, our energy bodies, our consciousness is literally changing and shifting. So the evolution of the human, of our consciousness, is directly related to the different changes that are happening celestially. And our consciousness is absolutely expanding and shifting into higher frequencies as we are experiencing going into higher frequency parts of the universe. And as our solar system, as our galaxy is also absorbing those higher frequencies, and as the planets in our solar system are refining, they're taking those energies out from the wider cosmos and refining them and bringing them into us, into our space. So we are evolving into higher states of consciousness because the energy is getting finer. If the energy was getting denser, we wouldn't be experiencing the shifts that we are. It would feel a little almost like we are kind of devolving. And certainly within the Vedantic tradition, we know within the teachings of the Vedas about the yugs, the epochs, and I've spoken about this in some of my other transmissions as well. Hi, Priyanka. Hi, Lisa. Beautiful to be with you all. Hi, everyone joining. So the yugs are also the yugs show us how. As these cycles are playing out, these energetic cycles of us and our dance within the cosmos, and are moving towards and moving away from the galactic center, because this is what it's about. We're like in a constant state of contraction and expansion, okay? And as we orbit, we move towards, and then we kind of move away, and then we move towards. And again, as we move towards, the energies become finer. As we move away, the energies become denser. And so this is reflected in the epochs, in the yugs. So there are 4 main yugs. So Kali Yug, which is like the darkest epoch. And we move from that into Dwapara Yug, and then into Treta, and then into Sattva. And then we move back from Sattva, back into Treta, Dwapara, and then Sattva. And then Kali. So we spend the most time in Kali and the most time in Sattva. So we spend the most time in the darkest age and in the lightest age, okay? And I've spoken before about why this time is so auspicious, because we've come out of Kali Yuga, okay? So we've come out of the darkness. We're now moving towards the galactic center, okay? So we're moving towards the finer energy. And because Kali was such a dense, it was the densest, the darkest energetic space that we were in, our consciousness was such. So you can see that reflected if you just think about the medieval times, okay? Think about where our consciousness was as humanity for us to create that whole epoch, and everything that kind of came before that. And we kind of pulled ourselves out of that. And we're very much in Dwapara Yuga. And Dwapara Yuga is very much characterized by technology. But the thing with technology is it's going to be our rising and it's going to be our downfall, because we are still being pulled and dragged down essentially by Kali Yuga, because it's so new that we've come out of this epoch that the pull of the darkness, the pull of Kali Yuga is still there. So we're trying to break away, and some of us are developing technology or using technology for evolutionary purposes. But some are developing technology and utilizing it for malevolent purposes. And this is indicative of this battle that we find ourselves in. This is why a lot of people out there are like, right, this is time for a warrior, because many of us, so we're on a trajectory, right? And those of us on the that know we're on a trajectory, we've woken up, we've enlightened ourselves. We're wanting to pull humanity this way out of Kali Yuga. But those that are in fear and that are choosing and are allowing themselves to be in that place, but also those who maybe are not aware yet, they're not necessarily allowing, they're just in pure ignorant bliss. They are, and they're still within the structures, you know, just kind of in their own flow, of course, but within those structures are very much still feeling that sense of Kali Yuga, still in that place, okay? So we're at a time now where we are right at this cusp of propelling into Dwapara Yuga and toward Treta and Sattva, which are the lighter. So it's almost like, imagine like a slingshot, like Kali is like the pulling back of the slingshot. Kali Yuga is trying to pull us back into it. But sooner or later, that grip is going to go, ping, it's going to release. And we are going to go propelling forward into the new era. So it's inevitable, right? It's happening. So this is the dimensional shift that's occurring, because also the universe is bringing us towards the galactic center, and you know, all of the planets in our solar system and all the star constellations in the zodiac that are within our celestial immediate space are like raining this energy down on us and pulling us into this new time, into this new space. And so it is only inevitable. And what's happening in terms of the dimensional shift is that so some of you will have heard this concept of moving from the 3D into the 5D. And when I first heard it, I was a little bit confused too. I was like, how do we go from 3D into 5D? Do we not go into 4D and then go into 5D? But then also, how do we just slingshot through the 4D into the 5D? And it's kind of what I was just talking about. So the 3D is more the experience of the physical, of this physical relative reality. And so as we are bound by our nervous system, okay, so our mind and the lower mind and just the consciousness of the mind in general, as we are bound by that and as we are experiencing more of a dominant feature in our life is more of our mind, as that is the more dominant feature. We bind ourselves more to an experience of the third dimension of this physical reality, because in order for us to really collapse into this third dimensional experience, we've got to have this sense of a time-space continuum. And we also have to have a nervous system that then brings into a linear consciousness things that have happened and things that are happening presently and things happening in the future. And as we start to ourselves, our energy is expanding. We're working with energy. We are working on ourselves. Ultimately, we're clearing the pathways and we're allowing ourselves to absorb these celestial energies and raise our consciousness into a higher frequency. Also, our whole experience of our body, of the physical nature, is also shifting. We start to be able to tap into the timeless dimensions, the astral dimensions, where all past, present, future all exist in one space. And as we start to experience this in different ways, a little bit more and more every day, we start to be able to move into this new space, this new dimensional experience. And so much of coming out of the mind and coming into our soul consciousness, because that's what it ultimately is, it's soul consciousness, is about stabilizing into the cosmic heart. Okay, it's our soul consciousness is cosmic consciousness. It is that state of love, of unconditional love. And when we stabilize into our cosmic heart, into our cosmic consciousness, what we are saying is, I am no longer bound. I am no longer shackled by the mind. My mind is not the dominant experience. I observe the mind and the body and I honor it and give it deep gratitude for how it's enabling my experience and protecting and supporting me. But I am anchored and stable in my soul energy, and that soul vision is what's guiding me. So I'm tapping into my soul blueprint. I have a wider, broader understanding of why I'm here and maybe where I've been in past lives and where I'm headed. I don't even need to know details, but it's just that bigger sense, that broader sense of the purpose and meaning of this whole, whatever this is. So as we stabilize into cosmic consciousness and into the cosmic heart, that is coming into the fourth dimension experience. And that then just slingshots us, because then that slingshot's been released because we've stabilized into our cosmic heart. We've released ourselves from the shackles that bind us to Kali Yuga and to the lower mind and everything. Okay, perfect. I'm back. Yay! So, okay, but that was perfect timing because I'm kind of done with explaining the backdrop now. So I want to go into, hi Jose, hi Saima, really beautiful to be with you guys. Hide my mic wire here, make sure everything is in the right place. Okay. I so appreciate you, Louise, for anything. Please be sure to drop any comments or any questions into this space so I can make sure that I involve them in this discussion. So for those of you that are joining on Instagram, I am talking about the fundamental tools for this dimensional shift that we're in. And if you coming in now, you've missed my whole backdrop contextualization of the dimensional shift and the yugs, the era that we're in, and and how we got here. So please, please, please go back and watch the videos, and yeah, let me know how you feel. Thank you so much, Priyanka. Such a beautiful comment. Okay, so I'm going to go now into the tools, the fundamental tools for these times, for this dimensional shift. Now, this is actually based around my 5 main gateways. Hi, beautiful. Hi, Saima. This is based around my 5 main gateways of my holistic coaching method. And so this is something that I apply actually across the board to all of the work that I do with my students on my teacher training programs, and also with my online program. So this kind of is the foundational approach that I like to share. So there are 5 main fundamental components of this tool, 5 major fundamental tools for dimensional shift. Okay, so the first one is self-regulation, particularly stability, groundedness. Okay, and I'm going to break each one down individually. That's the first one. The second one is willingness. Okay, so willingness and capacities. Okay, so developing willingness and capacity is really, really fundamental as a broader tool set or broader toolkit to these times. The third aspect of these fundamental tools is conscious inner dialogue. Okay, so again, so key for our own ascension process, our own evolution and growth, to be able to have that conscious inner dialogue. Number 4 is conscious communication or mindful communication with others. Okay, so you've got to be out there interacting in the world, and also lessening and even ceasing, eradicating the karma that we are creating. because of our beliefs and our thoughts. And our communication is the way that we do that. If we're continually communicating some old beliefs, that we're putting that energy out there into the world, and we're influencing others. So conscious communication with others is my fourth fundamental tool for dimensional shift. And my fifth one is the capacity to be still, to be silent, and to go within and listen. So these are 5 fundamental tools, but they're kind of more broader areas. So I'm going to go through each one, and I'm going to also share the individual tools and techniques that I have found personally the most beneficial in working through that particular aspect. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the beginning and start with self-regulation. So our tools of self-regulation are like the number one, most important survival toolkit in order for us to get through what is going on out there in the world now and forevermore. But I'm not just talking about feeling stable mentally. I'm talking about on an emotional level. I'm talking about on an energetic level. I'm talking on a physical level, also the physical body, the biochemistry of the body, as well as the mental side, the nervous system. So when I say mental, I'm talking about the nervous system of the body, because the nervous system of the body is like the physiological aspect of like our emotional response, the feelings, the sensations, and how trauma is processed and all those sorts of things. So we have multiple aspects of that, which I'm not going to go into, but for example, the brain itself, the gut brain, which is actually our primary brain. We have the polyvagal system. We have the wider peripheral nervous system. We have lots of aspects to the nervous system, to the mental nervous system, which is really important for us to be able to know how to self-regulate utilizing that system, okay? Because I mean, it's all working together. On the emotional level, this are our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, the sense in our body, the somatic experience we're having, and having a greater awareness and understanding of when those emotions are coming up and those feelings and thoughts are coming up, how is that interacting and integrating within the body, and what kind of neural pathways and responses, innate, built-in, conditioned program responses has that created and locked us into those patterns. So that's really important to become aware of. And then energetically, so the biggest thing at the moment is I'm getting a lot of people come and tell me that they are, feeling like very sensitive to other people's energies, and they just feel overwhelmed easily. And if somebody that's close to them is going through something really intense, like they feel it so intensely, they feel like it's their responsibility. And so much of this is, known as being an empath or a highly sensitive being. Now, I believe we all are too. We all are empathic. We all have these fundamental technologies. It's just within some of us, it's very heightened. So understanding the role that your energy system plays in that, and how to be the master of your energy system so you're protected but empowered, and you can show up and give that person what they need, but you're also protecting your own energy field. That's very, very, very important. And on a physical level, the biochemistry of the body, nourishing the body, super important for the body to feel well, to be able to function, and to not be under unnecessary, undue stress that is just going to pull the mind and the emotions into that stress as well. So, what we're talking about here with self-regulation is being able to regulate oneself in terms of the emotions, the energy level, the physical body, the feelings and sensations, any uprising of stress or worry or anxiety, essentially anything that is felt or observed or seen or noticed in the body. And what I'm saying with this is cultivating the ability to regulate those responses. So it's not like stopping those responses. That's not what we mean. There are a couple of aspects to self-regulation. One is being able to observe and allow these thoughts, visions, sensations to come up, and then being able to allow it to be there. But to feel stable and confident in your ability to observe that and be with that without feeling like you're overwhelmed and blended and flooded with it. So when we're really attached to those feelings and they're ingrained patterns and we haven't learned to separate ourselves from them, then they come up and they take us over and they overwhelm us. And that's when panic attacks happen and symptoms similar to that, and overwhelm. So we want to learn to be able to allow those things to be there, but for us to be able to be present for it and hold space for it. So breathwork techniques and Kriya techniques, which are evolutionary action energy techniques, for me are my absolute top tip. Because even on a physiological level, if you're getting palpitations, one of my new clients at the moment is there's a lot of multi-level stuff going on, but on a physical level, it's still a lot of heart activity, palpitations there. And even on that physical level, breath work, sustained breath work and Kriya, not just in the moment, but also, during the day, it reduces the prevalence of that symptom. But then in the moment, it also can bring those palpitations back into balance as well. So yeah, absolutely. Breathwork and Kriya are my number one tools for self-regulation, as well as really developing the skills to be still and listen and observe what's coming up, which is actually one of the other aspects. So I'm going to go on to the second aspect, which is willingness and capacity to observe, to take evolutionary action, to learn, to grow, and to raise our deserving power. So there are a lot of things there that are happening as part of our evolution. So if we want to learn, there might be some blockages there. If we want to feel deserving of this, there might be some blockages there, particularly around self-worth. If we want to take evolutionary action, there might be some blockages there around, actually getting up and doing something, or our beliefs about our capacity, or whatever it is. And all of that comes down to the one common denominator, which is having the willingness and the capacity to do all of that. So this is the biggest hurdle, so people are like, I just can't motivate myself. And it's because they're trying to push themselves and just jump straight to the doing it thing. But if we just take a step back and we look at, okay, well, what is blocking my willingness to actually, want to do it? Or what's blocking my willingness to put aside time for it? Or what's blocking my willingness to get people together? Or what's blocking my willingness to, to invest finances into it, or whatever it is? That's a place where we can actually do some deep, deep, deep work that will then propel us into the action that we want to take. So for this, working with the solar plexus, the Manipura chakra, which is the seat, it's our inner Agni, our fire. And this is the seat of our willpower and determination and our motivation. This is how we raise our deserving power when we work with the Manipura. So there's one particular technique that I'm going to share here, which is breath of fire, Kapalabhati. Literally pumping the navel every day for a long time, maybe doing 5 minutes a few times a day, is going to stoke our inner fire, and it's going to raise our willingness and our commitment, our capacity to show up to ourselves. It's going to breathe fire into that so that we can actually show up and get those things done. It's also stimulating the gut-brain connection. So it's stimulating the nerves in the gut plexus, the solar plexus. And that's sending signals to the brain that's like, okay, let's wake up, let's do this. And it helps us to break down those old neural pathways that are holding us into those old patterns that really we're trying to break away from. So this is the other aspect, is when we're doing the inner work energetically and we're wanting to break away from those old patterns that we've seen, stoking the fire of the solar plexus is so crucial to detaching those bonds. And so many of the purification, the strong purification practices for purifying karma are involving the solar plexus. Absolutely, absolutely. Because this is where we store our day-to-day stress, anxiety, worry. And this is what's ultimately blocking us. it's got backlogged and we need to get it all out of there so it's fresh every day. So as part of my meditation technique, I'm teaching a very important solar plexus activating practice for you. Okay, so conscious inner dialogue is my third broad tool set for this dimensional shift. And I've spoken a lot about this, and I'm probably not going to spend a huge amount of time because probably this takes up the largest portion of all of the transmissions that I do. Essentially, it's all, mainly to do with consciousness, the nature of the mind, and of inner dialogue. So I have so many videos about the importance of recognizing and working with our triggers, emotional balance, how to create a sense of consciousness stability. There's so much there. So I guess what I want to say about conscious inner dialogue is that for so long, we've allowed the mind to dominate. And what's going on is that those dominant parts of the mind, who are like these managerial parts of our mind, they're just kind of together, just like, this is what we should do. No, this is what we should do. Let's do it this way. Okay, I want to do it this way. And that's really great. But then what that is the mind, part of the mind talking to another part of the mind. And so when you have this sense of indecision, like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know where to go from here. I have this big decision to make. It's because there are different opposing aspects of the mind that have different opinions and different beliefs that are like, no, we should do this. No, we should do that. So when we start to stabilize into our self energy, okay, and that this is a really fundamental tool of conscious dialogue, it's about bringing the self back into this dynamic. So then it's the self or soul energy communicating to the mind and the body and saying, this is what we are, this is who we are, this is where we're going. I am now reclaiming my seat as the master of this seat, of this being. And I'm going to teach my inner world how to trust again, how to trust me as soul, because my intuition and my guidance is supreme. I am the master. But in order to get to that point where the mind just relinquishes control and sits back and goes, okay, you're the boss, you're back in the driving seat, we've got to gently build that trust up, okay? That radical trust, bring that in gently. And so the tools of IFS, internal family systems, for me have been the most profound in shifting into self-leadership, self-energy, and the self becoming the driving force, the master. So I'm going to leave that one there. It really is also very working in tandem with the next aspect, the next major kind of tool set for this dimensional shift, which is conscious communication with others. So essentially for me, this is about owning our own shit, our projections, our belief systems, owning all of that stuff. That, okay, it's one thing when it's like inwards and I'm projecting it myself, but when it's being projected out at other people, that's completely different. And so we need to get to a point where we really can own that stuff. We can see it and we can own it, because those are our opinions, beliefs. And those opinions and beliefs are an indication of where our belief systems are, our thoughts are, like how we're organizing ourselves, the things that we want to get done, how we're interacting, behaving with other people, all that kind of stuff. And that's what we're projecting out into the world. So if we are doing that, we're creating more karma. If it's not aligned to love, unconditional love, and it's actually what's beneath it is fear, then this is something that we really, need to look at and purify. So again, conscious communication with others has so much to do with the inner dialogue of ourselves and being able to see and speak to those parts of us and then negotiate with them to adapt and modify our behavior and our communication and refine our communication. It's also important to really do work on the vishuddha, the throat, really important to do energy work here, and also creative work that allows us to express our voice and be seen and recognized. This is all what the throat is about. So I kind of have two things there. One is the kind of IFS tools kit again, and the other one is like really working in different ways on the throat. I'm just about to embark on a really beautiful voice activation journey, and I've been wanting to do this for years, and I know that this is going to take me to the absolutely next level of my divine communication, mindful communication. So it's something that I recommend for all of you. Now, the final fundamental toolkit for consciousness shifting, dimensional shifting, is our capacity to be still, to listen, to receive the wisdom of the cosmic intelligence of the divine, of the universe, and feel the flow that we are in, because we are all in a flow, even though when it feels so shit today, we are still in a flow. It's just, what kind of flow are you in? So having that ability to be still is directly related to our ability to observe. And without the ability to observe, we can't do any of the things that I spoke about today. The more we can observe ourselves, the more we can be receptive and open to listen and hear the call of the universe and the wisdom of the universe and the wisdom of the ancestors and the wisdom of our higher self, the more that we feel confident in our abilities, the more that feeds into our willingness, that feeds into our sense of stability and trust, that feeds into our conscious inner dialogue. It's like that energy is just coming in and working its magic, dialoguing, integrating with all those parts of us. It has the ability to support our communication with others. This is the absolute foundation of all that we have discussed today, is that ability to be with ourselves, to observe ourselves, so we can see what is there to be healed, see what is there to be transmuted, see what is there to be enjoyed and loved and revered and shared. So my major fundamental tool for that, my main tool, is meditation, and particularly the Himalayan meditation technique, which is from a golden chain of masters and teachers going back to the rishis. And this is an integrated technique, a very special technique, bringing in pranayama, kriya, mantra, and it also feels very shamanic. For us to really drop into ourselves, it is the single most evolutionary technique that I feel is out there. So I've come full circle. I've shared with you my 5 fundamental tools for dimensional shift. And with each of those tools, should we say toolkits, I've drawn out one particular tool that I feel is the highlight of that. And I really hope that this is supported and helped. If you have any questions, please drop them in now. I'm going to have a look on Instagram. Lisa, to be seen and recognized, never thought of that way. Absolutely. Our communication, actual outward projection of our communication, absolutely also has everything to do with how we are seen and how we are recognized. Yeah, great. Oh, it's been so wonderful to be with you all after a little while. I took a kind of a bit of time integrating back into the UK and following my trip to Mexico. And yeah, I feel a lot more grounded and stable here where I am and on my journey. It's a blessing as always to be with you. Thank you so much for continuing to tune in. Please go back and watch the beginning of this transmission because it's so juicy. And please share it with others. I so appreciate your support in reaching out and connecting with other souls who I know are craving and looking for this wisdom and support in these times. deeply honoring each and every one of you for your role in the evolution of our beautiful planet at this time, and for you holding space in your families and your communities, and the courage also that I know each and every one of you has to really maintain your core and your sense of stability in this time. It takes so much, and I really, really, truly see you and honor you. Hoping that we will connect in the physical, but for now, let's meet in the ether, and sending you all my love. Hari Om Tat Sat. All is one, and that is the truth.